What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. If I can get that to focus, 5:58 a.m. We are up and at it. And the first question you might have, if you are a new viewer, maybe you are just subscribing, is like, who is this guy? Basically, on this channel, I talk about self-improvement. I think self-improvement is extremely important, especially in 2025, when a lot of the world is aiming down. A lot of the world is addicted to processed food, junk food, instant gratification, social media. And the problem is whenever you are letting these instantly gratifying things take over your life, it is eventually going to bring pain. So self-improvement brings progress. And we know when we're achieving progress, when we are seeing ourselves move towards our goals, then we derive dopamine. We get dopamine, so we feel better. And so basically, if you are on a self-improvement journey, you are choosing to feel better and become better versus, aiming down. So that is a quick intro. I actually probably need to go a little bit deeper because that still doesn't tell you who I am. Basically, on this channel, I'll talk about self-improvement, like I just said, but I'm not talking from someone who was gifted millions of dollars and was raised with a bunch of money, and I have 3 Lambos in my driveway and this mansion, millions of dollars, and now I'm trying to sell you some get-rich-quick scheme. Like, that's not who I am. I've had to learn all of this stuff mostly myself. I have read books. I have had virtual mentors, so through YouTube, basically following successful people because they say success leaves clues. And so basically now I'm not trying to preach like I'm some ultra successful person, but I was able to escape the rat race. I was able to get out of my 9 to 5. I was able to stop procrastinating, stop just binging out on vices. Most of the things you guys are probably doing that are watching these self-improvement videos and trying to get, traction in your life. I basically overcame all of that. I was able to quit a job. I am full-time self-employed. Online. I have freedom. I can do what I want, when I want. My life is essentially way less stress, which I think stress can be important in certain things to make you develop. But overall, being able to control that amount of stress, I think is super important. So it's not to say that some days I'm still not in a bad mood. Some days I still don't feel like recording these videos, but through everything I teach on this channel and the daily non-negotiables, that is what's changed my life. So I used to be this person that a lot of people are, which is unmotivated, undisciplined, lazy, procrastinating. And I was able to come through that. And now I'm essentially my 2.0 version of myself. I'm still evolving. I'm still learning every single day. And on this channel, I'm documenting that journey, but I'm also speaking to my younger self, which I just took a trip to Iowa, which is where my fiance's family lives, in a super small town. And I wanted to kind of tell a little bit of a story about that and tie it back into consistency and momentum, which is what this video is going to be about. Consistency and momentum it's fundamentally the 2 things that changed my life. And the reason behind that is because when you are building momentum, the problem is people will start a diet, they'll start a workout plan, they'll start, aiming to build a business, whatever it is. You start it and it's fun. Why? Because you have a lot of motivation. Early on when you're starting something, you're kind of getting the motivational high of learning about it and learning how to do it. But it's whenever you actually get into the process when it becomes difficult. I've heard someone talk about, signing up for a marathon. It's like you're getting your badge number and you're signing all the forms and you're telling all your friends about it and you're training for it. But it's not until you get into the middle of the race that it starts to suck and you're like, wow, I've still got 15 miles to go. So the reason I wanted to talk about momentum and consistency and tie it back to this vacation I just went on is because momentum and consistency, if you have those 2 things, you can essentially accomplish anything. Once again, I'm not preaching from a pedestal, but I'm speaking from a place of really feeling confident about if you can get your actions and your inputs right, you can essentially get anywhere if you just stay consistent and you use that momentum to keep you going. And so when I used to take vacations before I was full-time online, and once again, for 10 years, I had these goals. I wanted to build a business. I wanted to become self-employed. I wanted to get in the best shape of my life. I wanted to be on a routine. I didn't want to be doing the vices I was doing, which was playing video games, watching Netflix, wasting time, just kind of I've heard it said like this before, but just like rotting away at home. So you're just, you know, you're capable of more, but for whatever reason, you're just kind of sitting all day, you're lounging, you just have no purpose. And like your life quality just isn't as good. And I just knew I was meant for more. I knew I was meant to be better. And so when I used to take these vacations, even though I still had these goals, I would completely fall off. So maybe I built up a couple of weeks of consistency and momentum, and maybe I was posting, and for you, it might, like whatever you're trying to aim for in life, there's going to be actions that you need to be doing. So maybe it's you're trying to get a six pack for the first time, or maybe you're trying to get a salary increase. And so you're like, okay, I need to show up to work like early. I need to maybe stay a little bit later. I need to go above and beyond. Or, you know, if it's for your diet, you're like, okay, I need to prep my food. Like you have all these actions. The thing about the vacations and the inevitable things life is going to throw at you, because you might have this like picture perfect plan, then all of a sudden you get some bad news in your family, you get like something unexpected, and it's like, well, what happens? Do you just let everything go and you fall back? It's like, no, you keep the consistency and you keep the momentum. So when I used to go on these trips, what would I do? I would eat BS food, and we know that processed junk food, it's going to cause inflammation. It's going to throw off your brain function, your cognitive ability. Also, I used to like go out, like let's say going to a vacation, it'd be like at the beach. I would get like some drinks. So I would drink a little bit of alcohol, even though I've never really consumed alcohol consistently. I would drink some alcohol. So that's more brain fog. I would wake up later. I would stay up later. Just all of the things that I didn't want to be doing, but I would do them because that's what I felt was normal. That's what I felt everybody else was doing. So let's fast forward to this vacation. What did I do beforehand? So we had a 20-hour drive. I went ahead and I prepped all the food. So when we were like driving there, it wasn't stopping at gas stations and getting random things, or, you know, eating just a bunch of junk food. It's like, no, I had a plan. We prepped out food. We had road snacks. So we went to Whole Foods and we stocked up. So like, when I used to would fall off on my nutrition, with my goal being building my best body and, you know, building my fitness business, like I have to look the part. I have to practice what I teach, you know, follow the things that I actually teach, or else I would be kind of like a contradiction. And so stuck to the meal plan. Not only that, whenever I got there, I still went to sleep at a good time. I might have stayed up a little bit later, but I still woke up at the same time. And what does that do? That still gives me that 2 hours or so, like I talk about in the morning, to do my daily non-negotiables. So that's already two things that I did better. The third thing is I didn't let my environment or what other people thought, you know, change my beliefs. Because what I try to like get into your guys' head who watch these videos is that if you have a goal, you're either going to sacrifice for your goal, or your goal is going to be the sacrifice. So even though I wanted to kind of do some of the old habits that I had done when I was on vacation, I knew that like, even though it might not be as fun like in the moment, if I did those bad things that I used to do, or the things that weren't like aligned with my goals, the wrong inputs, that is going to carry over to my everyday life. And that is going to affect the quality of my everyday life. And with my goal being priority, like the number one thing, I need to do the actions that are going to get me closer to that, because that is where the dopamine is derived. That is where the pleasure is derived. And so some of you guys who start things and then you stop things, you're not keeping your goal top of mind. And so I've talked about this before, and I'm working on getting this launched probably in the next 2 months, but this is basically a workout planner / goal setting journal. And I'm not trying to pitch you guys or sell you guys on this, but what I'm trying to get at is every single day I have my goals written in this book. I'm able to read them. I'm able to keep them top of mind. So when my mood sways, when life throws me the inevitable curveballs, I still stay focused. And so I want to make sure I'm giving you guys all the nuggets that I had noted down. But essentially it was, I used to lose consistency and momentum, which would then set me back for a very long time. And then I would try to get back on the routine, get back on the diet plan or the workout plan or the business. And then I would like sit at the computer, and my brain would be so fried because I had done all these high stimulating, instantly gratifying things that felt good in the moment, but then they would destroy me long term. And so when I used to go off on these vacations or whatever life would throw at me, I would do the opposite of what I knew I should be doing, because it was fun in the moment, but it always caused chaos after. And so if you guys take away anything from my videos, it's we're trying to eliminate chaos get yourself oriented into a direction of your goal, and follow the daily inputs and the daily routine, because even though it kind of puts you in a box, that box is going to lessen the anxiety because you actually have a plan and a place that you're going, versus just like kind of shooting out sporadically, doing all these random things in a day, which can be fun, but long term you're going to wake up like I did at 32 years old and you're going to be like, what just happened to the last 10 years? Like, I thought I was going to be a millionaire. I thought I was going to be successful. I thought I was going to have all these things and have built this character and have read all these books to become wiser. But like, here I am, and I just like squandered the last 10 years. So you guys don't want to do that. If you're watching this and you're 20 right now, like 12 years from now, you will be my age. And it's like, if you're in a bad spot right now, do you understand what you can accomplish in 12 years? It's like, just in the last year of me putting my head down and locking in, I have completely changed the trajectory of my life through momentum and consistency. And so I put a note in here starting out the video, sharing lessons along my journey of self-improvement, which we talked about. And then I kind of talked about consistency and momentum combined. But as far as momentum, I wrote down, the flame doesn't go out, it might dim. So I heard this kind of analogy of like, think about all of the fuel that it takes a rocket to launch off. There's so much fuel that needs to be for it to kind of catch momentum. A lot of you guys are like that rocket. It's like, you got all this fuel, you're all excited, like I kind of talked about with the marathon race, or starting the diet and getting all this motivation. And then you're like starting to like launch off, and then you just have a malfunction. And then now you got to go find all of that fuel again, versus just pushing through it and actually like getting to where you wanted to go. And so what I'm meaning is, the flame doesn't go out, it might dim. So when I was on this vacation, I didn't do everything perfectly. I didn't wake up at the same time every morning like I normally do when I'm on routine. I didn't go out to sleep at the same time. I didn't do all of the things perfectly, but the flame was still burning. It might have dimmed a little bit, meaning, like the energy wasn't all kind of tied into the correct things, if that's making any sense. It just kind of dimmed. But the key is that it didn't go out. Like, I didn't let the flame go out. So I didn't let the energy and the motivation go out, because if it did, then I'm basically starting from square one. So I get back home to get back on the routine, and it was a little bit tough. Like this morning's gym session, I just still felt a little bit off because maybe I wasn't as hydrated. My sleep schedule's a little bit off, but I still did the daily non-negotiables because I kept the momentum and I kept the consistency. And so that is what I'm trying to get at. So still sticking to the gym schedule, the eating schedule, and then actions create momentum. Don't let the momentum die. I also said goals as a priority, even if the environment isn't ideal. So we already kind of talked about that. And I'm sorry if this is kind of a little bit unprofessional, but I basically just turn on the camera and talk. And so you guys that are here still, I'm pretty sure you're cool with me kind of going through my notes to make sure I'm pouring out as much value from my brain as I can. So I think that's really it, man. I had one more note on here. Like, I had talked about one of my buddies who is essentially on the same path as me. Like, he's wanting to create a fitness business, and he's at the very like early start of it. And he's working a job that takes a lot of his hours. He has hobbies. He has all these things he's trying to do on top of building this business. And that was the last note I had. But he sent me a voice note yesterday, and hearing it back, he just was basically like, man, I started doing all of the non-negotiables and, kind of created my plan. But then I noticed that I hadn't posted any content, or I hadn't done the actions in the last 2 weeks. And he's like, it's because my job's busy, and I'm also doing some of these hobbies. And basically, like, what I want to tell him, because like I listened to his voice note and I hadn't responded yet, is that's mostly everyone. Like, if you guys are trying to build a side business, or you're trying to pursue this goal, and let's say you're 25 or whatever age, or even older, you probably have responsibilities. You're probably in a job that takes a lot of your time. You probably have kids that take a lot of your time. You have family that takes a lot of your time. Everything is pulling for your time, but you have to figure out a way to have your pocket of time. And what fundamentally changed my life was what I'm doing right now. It's waking up early and doing the non-negotiables. And so the advice that I would give to him, because this all ties back to momentum and consistency, is he was getting traction on YouTube. He was posting some content. He was getting more subscribers than ever, more views than ever. And then he fell off because work got busy, because he wanted to do his other hobbies. But understand that you must sacrifice for your goal, or your goal will be the sacrifice. And so what I would tell him is, you got to figure out what's your priority, because fundamentally priority is one thing. It's the main thing. What is the main thing in your life? Figure out whatever it is, and then implement momentum and consistency. And when it gets tough, when it gets hard, don't let the flame die out. Don't let the fuel source die out. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. Keep showing up. You'll derive dopamine as you see yourself progressing. But the message I'm trying to get across to sum up this entire video is, don't quit. When you quit, it's harder to get back on track, to get back going. So build the momentum, build the consistency, and keep going. And you might look up a year from now and your life is completely changed. Peace.